Hey, I'm Futch, Ableton Certified Trainer, Music Production Coach. Today I'm going to show you how to stream audio onto the Clubhouse app using a device called the Rodecaster Pro. It's a little expensive at about $600 USD. There are some cheaper options that I'll talk about in a second here. So first of all, Clubhouse is an audio-only app where you can basically chat. It's kind of like a cross between a Zoom call and a Zoom webinar. So I'll do another video on sort of what the app is if you don't know, if you're interested. Whatever reason you want to stream audio, whether you want to just have a streaming room where people are listening to music and there's no talking, or whether you want some audio to play back in the background like sound effects or just music underneath you talking, I'm going to show you how to do that. So first of all, Clubhouse is currently invite only and it's currently iOS only. So iPhone or iPad, you have to own one of those to be able to use the app right now. I think they're going to open it up to Android and other devices later, but right now it's iOS only. And not all streaming interfaces for iOS are compatible with Clubhouse. That's why I'm making this video, just to show you one that is, and yeah, get you started. So there are, like I said, there are some other devices that are rumored to work. I haven't tried these out, but the IK Multimedia iRig 2 is a cheaper option at about $40 or $50. The Zoom LiveTrack P9 and the Zoom PodTrack P4 are some more options. I think the PodTrack P4 is less expensive. Please comment below if you've had any experience with those and let everybody know if they work or not. But I think those ones possibly do. So the Rodecaster Pro with the Clubhouse app. Let's talk about that. First of all, I believe the audio that's streaming is only mono. It might depend on your device. I'm not exactly sure. So basically that means it's not stereo. It still sounds pretty decent. It sounds pretty good. But that might be a deal breaker for some of you. I think the most important thing here is, aside from the Rodecaster and your iOS device and an invite to Clubhouse, you're going to need a 3.5 millimeter TRRS cable. So that's different than a 3.5 millimeter TRS cable, which you might be more familiar with. The TRRS cable has 4 metal conductors and 3 black plastic rings separating those conductors. That's how you can tell. So it's got 4 pieces of metal, 3 pieces of plastic in between. The regular TRS cables have 3 pieces of metal and 2 black rings. Those are no good for this configuration. And you will need to order that TRRS cable separately. You're also going to need to order an SD card to record onto separately, and I would recommend that you buy the accessory power cable too. Otherwise, it's powered by USB, which will work fine, but I would just rather have my power separate than my USB audio input. So if your iPad has an audio jack output like mine does, I can just plug that TRRS cable right into the iPad Pro in my case, and then into the jack on the back of the Rodecaster Pro that looks like the little phone, and it works. I have an iPhone 6 Plus, and it has a cable, but the iPhone 6 Plus won't let me update to iOS 13, and you need iOS 13 to be able to run Clubhouse. So I do have a phone jack, but it's no good in this case. So compatibility is a bit of an issue. If you have a newer phone, I think everything after the 6 Plus will work fine, but you won't have a phone jack. So in that case, you're going to need one of these Lightning to TRRS adapters. The Rodecaster has sample pads that come with stock sounds, and you can put your own sounds on the sample pads too. So you can have like a radio show with sound effects and laughter and whatever samples. You can even put full DJ sets or single songs in there if you want, so to help organize your broadcast. It's got a USB input, so you can send signal from your laptop or your desktop computer. In my case, I'm using that to play back songs from Spotify or YouTube, and that'll just show up on the channel of your Rodecaster and be broadcast right into Clubhouse. The icon that looks like the iOS device is where your phone or your iPad is going to communicate with Clubhouse. So that'll be the input and the output between the phone or iPad and Clubhouse. That's where your TRRS cable is going to connect on the back. The Rodecaster has a Bluetooth input, so you can send signal out of a Bluetooth device and into your Rodecaster. So again, maybe like a non-iOS phone or an iOS phone or your laptop, you can send it in there. Just remember it's Bluetooth, so it might cut out. These silver controls are your faders, so that's going to adjust the levels that are going out of the Rodecaster and into Clubhouse. Shout out levels. So you've got one for each device, your microphones, your USB, your Bluetooth, and your iOS device, and your samples. You can isolate and mute each channel on the Rodecaster with these red and green buttons. There are 4 separate headphone outputs on the Rodecaster, so you can just plug your headphones into one of them and adjust the corresponding number. Aside from the headphones, there's also an output that you can connect the Rodecaster to powered speakers. The big record button will record all of the audio devices onto the SD card, and if you set it up properly, you can get each track, each input to record on its own track, so you can mix everything later. If your mix isn't perfect, you can mix it all later. It'll also record just a stereo feed, so it'll basically record the performance of what you're doing at the time. So if that's good enough, that's really all you'll need. So imagine the ability to go in and mute my microphone that I'm speaking through now and just have the music playing later. This is where you'll see all the incoming levels. This is the selector button for each track. So if I select track 3, I can go in and adjust the levels and the effects on that track, or I can just leave it as it is and not get too technical. You have 4 microphone inputs, and they just take regular XLR cables. Any type of microphone will work, from really expensive ones to cheap ones. Just make sure it's got an XLR cable. So just to recap on the back, this is where you can see the microphones plug in. You can see you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they just show up on those corresponding channels. So if I plug a mic into 1 here, it's going to show up on channel 1. Then we've got our TRRS input. Again, this is key. This is why this works. This is going to send the audio between Clubhouse and the Rodecaster and everything you have plugged into it. This is the headphone output. You've got 4 different ones. Make sure you're adjusting the level for the correct one. This is the output where you can connect to powered speakers or a mixer. This is the SD card that you can record onto. You don't have to. You can just stream to Clubhouse if you want, but you can record what you're doing. Just make sure on Clubhouse that you put the big red circle and REC into the title of your Clubhouse room, because Clubhouse needs to, people that join your room need to know that you're recording. It's sort of assumed on Clubhouse that you're not recording the conversations and the guests. So if you put record in your title, it's allowed. This is your USB-C input. So this is for either power, or you can connect your laptop or your desktop computer to it, so you can do power and audio at the same time. I like to use this separate power adapter, but you have to buy it separately, just like the SD card and the TRRS cable. And that's it. So once you have the TRRS cable connected, you bring up the level and you start a new room in Clubhouse, and everything should work perfectly. Just do a test room with some friends and see if they can hear your audio streaming properly first before you go live. I hope this helps. Follow me on Clubhouse at Futch, Futch. I've got a couple rooms there, one called Levels FM Podcast and another one called Learn Music Production. Levels FM Podcast, I'm going to be interviewing music producers and artists and music industry people. And Learn Music Production, I'll be giving tips on music production. Even if you're just a fan of music and you don't know anything about music production, I'll show you the basics so you can take the ideas in your head and send them out to the world. And if you're a singer, songwriter, musician, electronic producer, beat maker, come there for music production tips. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell. Come back for more tips like this. Peace.